Hi, I'm Dark Shades without the shades on today, and I thought an interesting topic would be about choice, because we all have the impression that we have a choice, but I'm willing to debate that, and if you agree or you might not agree. But I'm going to take us back to childhood. Okay, when we're children, most of our parents told us what to do, what to say. Children were seen and not heard. We weren't to speak until we were spoken to. If we was at school, we'd have to put our hand up and ask to go to the toilet. We didn't really have a choice as children. And then I was thinking that if that's the case, who taught us how to exercise the right to choose? Now, we leave the home as children and we go to school, and we are expected to know what decisions to make, what choices to make. Now, if you've only been told what to do, at what point do you learn what choice to make? Now, I know if you're brought up in Christian households, which a lot of people aren't these days, you're taught about what's right and wrong. But without that, all you have is your parents. Hopefully they know what's right from wrong and they will teach you. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll agree, because your parents are making choices and decisions based on their background and their upbringing, which might be totally different from yours. So you might be looking at them and thinking, oh, that's old-fashioned, that doesn't really apply to me. So when you go out into the world, or when you go out into schools, or when you go out into the workplace, how do you know how to make a choice? Now, it does seem, like I said, a simple thing, but I was thinking about teenagers who are subject to peer pressure, and they end up taking drugs or whatever, and they end up making a wrong choice. What differentiates them from those who say, well, look, I don't want to know, I'm not going to get involved in that? I think what makes a difference is that there's certain children who was able to have a freedom of expression, and there were certain children who were denied that freedom of expression, they were denied that love, and they were denied that support. And the ones that were denied support are the ones that sometimes go down the vulnerable route. Now, you might say to yourself, that's a load of rubbish, but it's not really. I kind of think when we're overstepping boundaries, and for me, I sometimes think about date rape. Did that person have a choice? In any kind of rape situation, does that person have a choice? Now, I was talking to somebody, and she was saying everybody has a choice, whether they want to do something or not. And I said to her, what about in the case of a child, when a child or a teenager is raped? She doesn't have a choice. And she said, well, she has a choice of what to do afterwards. But that's not the point. At the point of impact, she's powerless to that person who she probably trusted. And the same like date rape. You're powerless in that situation if you go into the hands of somebody you trust and they betray you. So where is the choice in that? So I beg to differ that people always have a choice. Now, you might choose after that situation has happened, whether to go to the police, whether because you're embarrassed you keep it to yourself, whether you tell a close friend, or what you decide, or whether you go to a hospital. But whatever you decide to do after the incident, you have a choice. But you didn't have a choice at that point. Lots of people who do decide that they want to have a choice and fight the person off, sometimes they get killed, sometimes they're able to run away. But at that point, I would beg to differ that young people who are in abusive situations do not have a choice. I'm going to stop it there and continue in part 2.